Hello. Um, Welcome to this evening's stream. We're all the way at episode, what is 94? 94, episode 94 of Live Drawing. Tonight, hold on, I gotta turn that thing on so I can see any comments. Tonight on episode 94, we are working on a Planet Comics sketch cover. I think this is the last one I owe my buddy Jeff. I think it is. Hey Dave, good to see you. Welcome aboard. I've got my tea. I did just a quick rough, when I did my white paper on my board, I just did a quick little pose that I thought would work nicely. And then I just started to blue line it in because I was getting up a little early. Episode 94. Yeah, can you imagine? We have passed the original Star Trek. I'm sure there's some other shows that we could wrongfully say that we are better than just by being around on a small internet TV show, but I'd be interested to know. I mean, so many great shows didn't make it that long. Like The Prisoner only did one season. Great show. I saw, Jonathan, you posted some more Bronze Age goodness, late silver on your Instagram. I have some George Perez reference up for Space Raven here. I gotta be honest, I've seen a bunch of the redesigns. I think Pop Mon did one. He's a local fellow. Grey's Anatomy, my good lord, they must have been on for 10,000 seasons by now. And then any of the soaps, the daily soaps, they got about 10,000 episodes to their name, I believe. But yeah, thanks for joining me this evening. And yeah, I did see the trailer for the Wolverine Deadpool. That looks like a very fun movie to go see. I will definitely be seeing that in the theater. That's Bruce. If you can hear him yelling in the background, I guess I could let him into the studio if he wants to sleep in his box. They can hear you, Bruce. No, you cannot go wrong with George Perez artwork. I was reading some vintage George Perez Avengers. Yeah, you're gonna see it in the theater also, Dave. Nice. Yeah, it seems like a theater trip flick to me. Had to go see Dune in the theater. Gonna have to go see this one. Raven, not a character I've drawn more than a few times in my life. My friend Allison is a big Raven fan, so I've done a couple of Ravens for her, I think, over the years. I just didn't read a lot of Teen Titans, I'll be honest. I read some of the Silver Age Nick Cardy stuff, but I gotta say, Jonathan, while I'm not a Deadpool guy, the movies have been very entertaining. We're not gonna go nuts and be like they're the Casablanca of comics movies, but they're just fun and entertaining. And though I saw the first one in the theater, I never got around to seeing the second one in the theater, but I will see this one in the theater. Gotta go see Hugh. Is that in the picture enough? Yeah. And I've been reading, those George Perez Avengers. There was actually a John Byrne Avengers in there that I hadn't read. Some of those issues just were so expensive when we were younger, and you rarely see them in the bargain bin. And I was just lucky at Little Giant that Jimmy, Bedrock Comics, Jimmy had a bunch of great stuff in his, as usual, in the $2 bin. So. They were entertaining. Yeah, they were fine. It's the best version of Colossus we've gotten, and him being my favorite X-Man, I've got to say, they were. It was nice to see Pete as opposed to whatever they think that they've put on before. You know, he was in those other X-Men movies for like 10 seconds and getting just destroyed in Days of Future Past. Come on, in the source material, he's one of the guys that lives. Tom Novak, good to see you, sir. I assume, as an X-Men aficionado, you will also be seeing the Deadpool feature film, which dropped its trailer. X-Men '97. I again, as much as I would love to see that show, I just have the Disney Plus, so I gotta wait till they. You know, I might have to wait 20 years for when they put out some sort of metallic anniversary. By then, we'll be on to nostalgic Laserdisc or something, but a DVD or something, or if I'm just at a, just have not seen it. Great things. I have the original DVD. Uh, oh, nice. Going the preview night. Cool. That's right. You have the inside connections. One of those fun little tricks that I like to use when trying to make a pose have a little bit more dynamism is to twist the hands. You know, instead of just having the hands straight out, you just twist it because obviously you can twist your arm real easy. And in this case, I have a Raven not just reaching forward but like stretching, and then her other arm will be going not just to the side but to the back and turned facing upward. So zero tolerance, Bastion and company. I'm sure those key issues are spiking. Hilarious. Showed up on the cartoon show. Jack up those Scott Lobdell issues. I have to laugh at those being like going up in price because they were at the height of like print runs, from the at that. I read them. I had a subscription in the mail from Marvel Comics with the flimsy backing boards for those issues. The entire Madureira run, and then everything that followed until the end, all the Greg Land runs, multiple runs that they had him on the book. Chris Picciello's run with Steve Siegel, Mike Carey, the Ed Brubaker run, which I think is vastly underrated. All the Shi'ar stuff that he did with a combination of Tan and LaRocca on artwork. I like Ed Brubaker's writing quite a bit. I liked his Daredevil as well. Oh, she doesn't have the little glovey things. She's got like the long army gloves. That's an official term, army gloves, long armish gloves. Yeah. Very art savvy terminology tonight. Hey, Chad. Good to see you. Welcome aboard. Hey, congratulations. I think this is the first time I've seen you since your book came out. That's very exciting. Congratulations. If you want to drop a link for people to check it out, just throw it in the comments. I agree, Tom. The Alpha Flight was excellent. With Scott Clark drawing it. Yeah, it was a cool book. Tom, were you always an Alpha Flight guy? Did you read like the Burn, Magnola, all that stuff? I read the Burn, I read the Magnola, and then a little bit after that, and then I have a gap, and then I came back when Pat Broderick came on. Dennis, good to see you, sir. No, okay. I didn't know if you were like all the X books, like the X, because I always lumped that one in there with that because it was like you had the two like different X books. I always thought were Excalibur and Alpha Flight. I always thought that they had a different flavor to them. But yeah, I did show this off on the. This was the image that I took a picture of. It was just a quick little marker drawing I did on this cool tone paper. You can see it. It's almost like a chipboard. It's kind of grayish, and then I just used my little watercolor kit. This one here, the Winsor Newton, and I was delighted to no end that people, were asking if there would be more Helena comics at the last show. Even though I've been hard at work on my Undersea Hero stuff, and I'll pull the pages out that I'm working on in a little bit, so people can get a look at where we're at. Things keep moving forward, and I keep working on pages. I do think I'm going to readjust some of the layout on the page I was working on, and I'll go over that. Yeah, but honestly, didn't read a ton of Teen Titans. P. Garza says, "Arg, arg, or arg could be arg, prolonged arg." Fair enough. I got to work on this shoulder joint because this muscle goes up like that, then it's down like that, and then this lower point connects with the pectoral muscle right there. And then this is where this part of the arm just goes straight into the rib cage right there. And then it comes down, and sometimes there's a little bit of muscle from the back that shows. So Tom says you had to force me to read a DC book as a kid. Is that just, so? Are you like the reverse of Lewis, where like maybe over time you picked up a few and then like, oh, these aren't so bad, or what? Because I feel like that's where Lewis was the opposite, where he had to be like forced to read a Marvel book, and then over the years he has softened on that. Tom says he would browse them and then put them back unless a friend would say, "Finish this story." I see. Was it because they were just like boring to you at the time, or the characters just didn't seem to interest you? Or was it like a brand loyalty thing where you're like, "I'm a Marvel guy"? I've heard people say all those things as to why they liked one thing or the other, and I've heard it from both said about each other. So, like, I've heard Marvel people say that DC's boring, and DC say, like, Marvel's boring, and, you know, the Coke and Pepsi of our time. The writing. I will say, as much as I love, and I've talked about it a lot, the Jim Aparo work of on Brave and the Bold, the Bob Haney scripts can be a little tough to get through sometimes. Anytime there was a guest writer, like a Marty Pasco script or like that, you know, the rare Len Wein script, you would get. I would. This arm comes up. It needs a little bit more shaping. Psychotic Cognition 100 says he likes Marvel, or they do love Batman. Batman, yes. Tom says, I mean, Marvel would give me a combo of great art and writing. Gotcha. Well, and it's and by now they've all the creators have worked for both companies, so you end up with that sort of. Would that be a status quo or a paradigm? I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. I didn't when I was a kid. I definitely read a lot of. I would say I read more Marvel because at the time I felt like that was kind of like easy. One, they were easier for me to get for some reason. Like DC Comics at the drugstore where I was were not always there. And does that mean that they sold out quicker, or does that mean that they just didn't carry them? I don't know. And they never ever had like Aquaman or any of the B characters. They only ever have the uh, like the mainstays. Tom asks, did you see the cover art for the DC versus Marvel box set that Jim Lee did? Absolutely beautiful. I saw it. I did not take a deep dive on it. Those big mashup covers can be a bit of uh, a challenge when arranging it. So I wanted to get a better look at it. Um, I barely saw it as I was scrolling through. Hey Don, good to see you. It was very cool to see your announcement for your upcoming book. I look forward to that. Always enjoyed your cartoons. Oh, my pleasure. Those are cartoons I get to just enjoy looking at. I don't have to do any work. I don't have to make them. It's easy for me. You do all the work. There's a collection. Tom says, referring to the DC Comics, Marvel Comics crossover, it was a collection we've been waiting for how many years now? A long time. I mean, those came out, mid 90s. Ron worked on those. Ron Mars, he wrote some of that stuff. The DC verse Marvel, some of those random crossovers, like the Galactus Dark Side that Byrne did, the wonderful Green Lantern Silver Surfer that Daryl did with Terry Austin inking. It's just I hold that book at very high esteem. Don says they're aiming for the old Marvel style look. I feel like you can nail that, my friend. Tom asked, remember the ballots in the back of the books, and we could pick who we wanted to win. Honestly, I don't I know that was a thing, but I just don't remember it because I didn't participate in it, so I guess I didn't like internalize it. I just waited for the next issue or whatever. And again, like those were tougher to come by in my situation because I was in a new drugstore situation. So I've gone into long form on this channel about missing an issue of Uncanny X-Men on my subscription and it taking 10 years for me to get the replacement from a store. Not at the store's fault, but just because I didn't find it, couldn't get it. It's like the second comic store I went to, they had it. Yes, the wizard mailaways are an interesting little market manipulation, insider trading, nostalgia bomb. And what I say is, when you describe what these things were to people nowadays, they're like, "How is that even legal?" The company that wrote the price guide put out these little ash can type comics or mini comics or short comics, and some of them were printed full size, the later ones. And oh, thank you, Tom. And they got to tell retailers what their value was, like even just as they came out, that they were worth more than what you mailed away for them. So they were able to artificially inflate the price of their own assets. And then they would sell them also at conventions, which they ran. Yeah, it was just a grift machine. The one half books. Yep. I don't know. There's something about being the person who gets to tell retailers across the country how much to charge for a book that you yourself printed, as far as like not cover price. This was like the marked up hot issue price that they would put on everything. And you'd look at the little price section, and miraculously every little one half book that they came out with was hot for like the month after they came out. And I know this because I did work at a comic store for a brief period of time. And I remember, seeing what they'd say. And that's when they would take out the Overstreet guide and be like, no, we price from this. And then actually that store used to take off of anything, I think it was 15% off. So they would come in under Overstreet on everything. Well, I mean, and the players of that game are still in the industry. So, and some of them, are working for the big two. Some of them are running other companies. Some of them are part of grading companies. So, like, it's all public record. It's not like I'm giving away any state secrets here. It's on most of their LinkedIn page. Yes, the Top Cow launch. Yes, that was another one. Where there were like issue zeros for everything. Now I've done an issue 0 on a couple of occasions when it was a pure preview, but I didn't generally. I don't generally like to do that unless there's some circumstance around it. But I have not been on Facebook nearly as much as I used to be. So, if I've missed anything too badly from people's new artwork, if there's anybody in the stream that I've missed their artwork, I'm sorry. I just haven't been on social media as much as of late. Oh, that's right. They are doing a Witchblade relaunch. I saw that. I know nothing about it. I did not see anything as far as I didn't see the creative team that they had selected. Um, so, but that was another one of those books that just got heavily pumped up. Michael Turner's artwork carried a lot of the weight behind it. You know, I read the first trade actually. I bought a trade of it, and it was signed by him. And that was back when he was signing everything. I think it was like a $25 trade or something. And it was signed, and it was the first dozen or so issues. But yeah, he was one of the hot creators that you know. Once his name was on the book, I'm sure retailers were just chomping at the bit to get him on shelves. And then he did Fathom and stuff. Oh, the art looks good. You get to see a preview of it. Cool. Yeah, Turner's one of those guys that like I liked his work. Um, Definitely, I did back in the day. Uh, but when I look at his stuff now, I'm not as elated with it. That's not to say it's not beautiful. It's just it doesn't hit the same notes that I'm looking for these days. Let's take a look. 'Cause Jeff got good paper stock for his covers, and we can take a look to see if we are ruining another comic book. It's not too bad. I gotta pull this line forward, give this a little bit more of a shaping, and pull that back. The image guys were total rock stars, completely. And one of the ways they changed the industry is that the major publishers were not going to allow creators to get more credit than their characters whenever possible anymore. Every now and again, they hire somebody, they got to put their name above the title, but you don't see them pumping up the names of the creators like they used to. Heck, I had a trade I was reading the other day that had just the writer's name on it. So on the front, it was the New Gods, the '70s New Gods that Jerry Conway wrote, and it just said "The New Gods" by Jerry Conway on it, and I'm like, okay, so Don Newton didn't do anything. So that's nothing against Jerry. I'm sure he had no say in the matter. It's just it was a publishing decision by a publisher. They were the rock stars. Yeah, I've seen the image, documentaries, and part of that is tailor made. Like that's what they wanted. They wanted that, the attention, and it helps sell books. So they used their image, they used their name recognition, and they did, at first, characters that I think, with the exception of Savage Dragon, that were similar to ones that they had either done or were doing. Use the classic like breaking up planet as one of the backgrounds. I've wanted to draw like kind of an exploding planet behind Planet Comics for some time, so I hope Jeff doesn't mind. No AI here, folks. That was. I get random questions. I swear, I get the most random questions from Twitch. I do. All right. How's our fix looking? Not bad. Gotta pull this over a little bit. Mouth's a little unnecessarily to one side. Move this over a touch. I've still yet to watch that, ironically. It's saved on my YouTube page, but after how many times we've heard those stories from those close to it, all almost ended up making it better than watching the documentary. I would agree with that. I mean, if you've heard it from the horse's mouth, or people who were there, or some of the artists that were there, like I mean, all the guys that worked in those studios are still, in the game for the most part. I do have a show coming up. I'm doing a one-day show in Fall River. I will need to double check the date here for announcement purposes. Of course, uh, Fall River Toy and Comic Palooza on May 19th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Liberal Club in Fall River. I will be there doing stuff, drawing stuff. I don't know what type of setup I'm going to be bringing in. I might actually be drawing for charity at that one, so we'll see. We'll see what the week brings and how things come along. Don says, cool. Tom says, hey, remember when Wizard, how they would pour fire on the angry back and forth between Peter and McClelland? Yes, I do remember that. And Todd had his column in the back of it. They actually did a debate, and I think it's actually on YouTube at one of the San Diegos. And it's interesting because they worked together on the Incredible Hulk run and early in McFarlane's career, so they had worked together and had definite familiarity with one another. And at the time, it was early Todd, but Peter David was pretty well established, and he was writing novels. He was writing all kinds of stuff. Peter David was, so he had some industry clout. Oh, that's a long one, Tom. I'm gonna have to just click on that. Tom says, never met a more bitter person than Peter David. It's a bummer because I enjoyed his Hulk stuff and started the conversation by asking how he was feeling following a stroke a year ago. He was just so rude. I was like, I'm good. And then I only met him once. I only met the guy once. And I want to say it was before his health and all this stuff started to go. So doing the little glowy earrings that she's got going on there. There we go. In our last episode, I think we talked a little bit about filling in darker areas and not having to do the line weights on the outside of those. This is an example of that because this is all going to get filled in here. Tom says, I understand he's not doing well presently, which is a bummer. Yeah, and that was a while ago, so who knows? I've met creators on good and bad days. I still enjoyed his Captain Marvel run that he did with Chris Cross. Beautiful artwork. Love his stuff. Loved his stuff going back to the Milestone days. Man, he just gets such cool angles on characters. Guy can draw anything. Not that blue pen, the other blue pen. Is this one? That one's got a broken tip. Try this one. That one looks pretty good. Yep, that one looks okay. Comics, the one of many professions where there's no safety net for creators. It's true. It is true. I've got some friends that have GoFundMes right now, and normally when I do like charity collection at shows, it's for a food bank. But I'm considering doing it for one of the GoFundMes going on right now. So I don't know. I've just got a lot on my mind when it comes in that direction. Yes, one of the blue pens, and actually that one wasn't even that great. Okay. I go through these things pretty quickly. I've got to order some more. Because the tip wears down, and then you can only use them for certain things after the tip wears down. So there we go. That's a good one. Thanks, man. We try to do that. A lot of guys collect for the Hero Initiative, and I have done that for them too. But I don't know. Sometimes I just want to collect for the local food bank. I'm lucky now that I have some steady paychecks coming in with my gig at the steamship. I have the ability to do that kind of thing, and I'm also excited to do take some creative risks. Because I am going to do some interesting stories. I was actually writing one when I took a little break from drawing Undersea Hero the other day, and I actually wrote a couple of short stories. So I'm deciding on how I want to put them out. Put them out there. Do I want to do a Patreon? Do I want to just post them on my website like I have in the past? I'm not sure. I have an overarching concept for the stories themselves, like how they fit together in a collection, but they're not all related. Um, and I shared some of my ideas with my pal Joe St. Pierre at the show, and he said I was a little crazy. So I felt like that meant that I was going in the right direction. So we're gonna go in that direction and see what happens. And this year I'm really recharging up uh, my stuff for having. Tom, you say that like it's not possible, and it could happen only from this standpoint, is that I've been reading the fine print on some of these hosting things, and in some places, like even that first issue of Helena where you see, I think, 3 nipples, it would violate the terms of service, and, like, I don't know if I just don't wanna be, having to avoid topics of the human condition, because of a hosting contract. But we joke, but I have considered it. Not that my stuff is all that explicit, it's just that I don't wanna have my stuff taken down for no reason. Um, just that somebody decided to look at their terms of service and be like, "Hey, this guy has, too much violence or, God forbid, any mild nudity." Yeah, I was, and I actually did look. I reached out to. I host my website on a thing called Wix, and I actually reached out to them, and they were very good to work with when it came to not only the content of my work, but also protecting it from those automated programs that skim images off the internet for training AI. You can actually you can have your stuff visible but not be available to those algorithms to just pull off the web at all willy-nilly. I was delighted that the service I had picked was so helpful, and I spoke to them at first on via email, but then actually on the phone, and they were very nice. Just damaging, just to the psyche, scarring. you know forever destroyed childhoods. Yes. Oh, I forgot to add the little tail thing that hangs down. She's got like a loinclothy situation going on. And the other one, which would be like over here, would be like that. There we go. Easy peasy. Don says we're going to need a website at some point for the comic. Wix a good hosting for an online comic. I found that they were easy to work with, and their different graphics hosting options for their galleries were nice. One of the beautiful things is this. You can go on and mess around with it, and if you like it, you can set up a free site, or you don't even have to make it live at all. I put my comics in their blog format, and you can check it out for on the Fat Cat Funnies page. It's not overly dynamic, but if you want to, there's also different plugins you can use, and you can get different things to make it fancier. I do intend to go back, especially if I'm going to be hosting my new work there going forward, visiting some of those options, because I've seen places where you can make it look like you can upload the pages and it's got like a flip through, like a comic. Um, it looks like turning pages. Tom says it wasn't war that tore their friendship apart, but the amount of nipples on the page. Yeah, I think there was a page that might have had 4, maybe 5. I think that was the end times were upon us. Is those that page? And look, I had 2 people who I'm not related to or friends necessarily with on a regular basis come up to me and ask me about New Helena stories, and I promise I have written them, and I have done a bunch of pages for the next issue. Um, but I just felt the time was right for Undersea Hero at this moment. Needed something a little silly. I'll show off the finished page now if people want to check that out. And grab this here. I think we worked on this page on the stream. Here's the inside of the bridge of the correlator ship. He's looking through the sea view. He's in a submarine. This is like the telescope, and then again, it was the setup where he was told that um, Jan and Colonel Feathers are on the little submarine going the other way, and they said, "Oh, he'll never notice we're gone." And Jan's basically like, "What did you do?" And he replaced himself, a penguin, with a bucket with a roll of paper towels and some scotch tape, and Jan is a mop with 2 tennis balls tied to the mask there. And then he looks back and he's like, "Oh, good, good. It's stealth mode, staying silent." And then he looks back and he gets the look of the fake Jan. He's like, "Hmm." And then he looks at the Colonel Feathers, and then he's like, "Yes, very good." And then we rejoin Undersea Hero. You know, we meet Liquid Lad. I'm redrawing this portion here. Liquid Lad. Oh my! And he basically is like, "Oh, so you've been standing here the whole day? You didn't know you didn't look at the schedule I left for you?" And then they talk for a little bit, and then there's this big sound effect that's going right here, and that's where the correlator ship meets up with Undersea Hero on the next page. So, oh, thank you, Michael. Thank you, Tom. Working hard. Want people to enjoy the book. Keeping it silly. Trying to have just wanted to have a silly book to have at the table that I'm proud of. Over the years, I've worked on many a silly comic, and I wanted something where I had the last say in what was on the page, for better or worse. So I will be fully to blame for any and all problems that people have with the book. Hey, likewise, Tom. Thanks for coming and hanging out. And yeah, I'll catch you at the next stop down the tracks. Have a nice weekend. I was glad I did just a little bit of work before I came on the stream on this, so you didn't get to watch me struggle and try to come up with a pose and a layout. Just coming up with a quick little thumbnail, like that was it. That was all I did before I came on here. Really helps things move along. The good thing I like about these pens is you can get a little bit of a flex in the tip, and you can give it some line thickness. You can go in and add that kind of stuff to it. We can grab our little fill pen so you can start to see a little bit better what the end product will be. This is just a fill pen. This is not our fancy pen. Takes me a long time to get these things done. Anybody have an update on the Bruins score by chance? I don't have a TV in my studio, or we don't. I actually don't think we get the channel that it's on today. So let me pull up my reference again. I seem to think that there is something I'm missing here. Yeah, they do have like smoke coming out of her tunic most of the time, but I think that that's a little too. I don't know if there's any space smoke. There we go. Let's work on this hand. This hand's going to be really important to hopefully getting this piece to be believable. Now that's a Celtics game. Celtics are down. You got the Bruins for me? I guess I could pull it up on my phone, but I'm reaching out to everyone for help. Are you a Celtics fan? Are you a basketball guy for that? For the NBA? Got a lot of people in here tonight, so thanks to everybody that popped in. Oh, watching the game on HBO Max. Oh, okay. Yeah, a lot of people in the stream tonight, so. I'm gonna see if I can call in any favors and get any of my artist pals on episode 100. I got a couple of maybes. So we'll see if we can turn those into like a yeah if I have to. If we can go from maybe to yeah if I have to from a couple of my pals for episode 100. Oh, very nice. I'm on the big TVs. Always amazed when people do that. It's like, you really want to see my beat up drawing hands on a big TV? I had one person tell me he was watching, he had me on his phone on his dashboard while he was driving, and I was like, be careful. Please be careful. You can catch the rerun, I promise. Chat is on your computer. It's got like pretty normal looking slip-ons, like regular normal looking flat slip-ons. So see if that holds true. I think it looks like she's moving, up and to the right, up and forward. There's some motion there. It's not a ton of forward motion, but I'm not the best at that anyway. Not great at that Eric Larson, like giant fist coming up at the reader, Takes guts to do that, does. Gotta have the confidence rolling on those things. Pull my reference here. Yeah, Perez has it as blue, all blue, and then this portion back here is black on like everything. Even like the Mike McCone, Jeff Johns Euro run. So what we'll do is we'll have this be flat black, and then I'll mask it off. And then on all of the other black that'll be on the cover, there'll be stars. So it'll look like there's just this starless void coming down, I think. I think that's what we'll do. The thing I like about these pens also, when I'm nervous, I tend to have too fine of a line, and this will force me to have a more broad line. And the way I have this designed is you can go like this. And then this will just be black, I guess. Let's see where we're at. Let's start to clean up some of the excess pencil here. Start to pull a bit away and try not to overdraw. That's another thing I've been guilty of in my life. It's just overdrawing, just drawing and drawing and drawing lines for just the sake of lines on top of lines. To be able to draw like a Steve Rude, it's just like the perfect lines. And it's got, his figures have weight, and they have movement, and they have gravity. I'm jealous of the artists that can do that. They just keep noodling. Maybe when I get older, I'll be able to let go of some of that. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes. And on these sketch covers, because I'm so used to seeing in my mind artwork that has been reduced considerably from its original size, printed on a cover, I feel the need to get some like really ridiculous fine lines in there on stuff. Going. Just adding. Do need to get her ankle bone in there. Bring that over. Cut that off. It's coming together. I'm going to use my dry brushy bit here. I don't want these to be pure circles. There's one. Just a little bit more zhuzh to it. We'll come back over here. Like that. To make it a little bit more broad. That's okay. And then you see I want some electric lines cutting out, but I'm going to leave that so that when we come back in, that's all white. I'll grab my fill. This is me just kind of shooting from the hip right here, seeing if this dry brush will give me something that I'm not expecting. And that's just by trying to put myself in a position where I have control over the tool, but I'm letting myself just go a little bit. Letting go of some of those conventions in my brain, that this has to be something or this has to be that, and I'm just trusting myself to get to the other side. I give myself the idea of transference. Like if I can't give myself confidence to do it, I can tell my brain to trust my hand, even though I inherently know that I'm the one that knows the stuff, but I give it the credit to, and the confidence is derived from that. So just letting my hand give me some technique. I have to black this out, I think. We do have to think. We can't just, go willy-nilly. But letting the instincts go sometimes is good. And this is actually like not just the brush when you're doing a dry brush technique, it's also the type of paper that you have in front of you that affects the outcome. So like knowing the tooth of the paper and the approximate amount that you think you can pull from it and the amount of texture that comes out of it. So we need to give some of this some weight, so we do need to have just a little bit of shading on her the underside, and I think we need a little bit of extra here. And this is where I'm just using some of those painting instincts. It's different from drawing. It comes with a different set of rules. It's one of the reasons I love using a brush instead of having to use a pen all the time. I think her shoes are black, but I'll have to check. I want to have enough contrast here so that when I come back with those electrical bits, that it cuts across. But it's coming along. Not a character I've drawn very often, so let me see if I actually have I had the official DC handbook of the of the DC universe up. That's blue. It's like the rest of her, so you can just have a little bit. Take it easy on it so that you can have the certainty that you know what's coming forward and what's going back. Because what's the other thing that you have to picture is we don't want too much texture behind her, because especially right here, as far as bringing the centralized figure forward, when we add in the dark sky here and over here with the stars, one of the things that's going to create our separation and our framing is the difference in texture. So this part being perfectly flat black, and then it turns into the brush textured technique, is going to bring that focus inward. Like this is going to point this way, this will point this way, the electricity, everything will be bringing you right here. And then there's just going to be one little break in front of comics. So like it'll just be a tiny little bit. And I know that doesn't seem like a big anything. I'm hoping it's enough to just give you that layered separation again, creating layers. Hey, Allison. I thought if you popped in, you might like it. This is for one of the backers on Planet Comics. So I was telling people, I think you're the only person that actually has a Raven other than this person that I've drawn. So you have D&D tonight? You usually have D&D on a Wednesday. So my eraser fell off. Oops. A bit of eraser came off. Got to get those little logos on her. There we go. Jonathan says I was in a video for Little Giant the other day. If you blink, you'd miss it. But hey, I was there. I was there. Tiny. If you blink, you'd miss it. I think that's a good metaphor for life, right there. You blink, you'll miss it. Hey, somebody made a whole YouTube video about Axe Helena. That was another thing that came out of this past week where I was like, really? Wow. They got one of the issues through that subscription box that I did the exclusive cover for. For that video, you're like, I know that guy. He owes me $5. See, I had initially intended to put the exploding planet over here, but I kind of wanted to have it behind. There were a bunch of people actually filming at that. There were photographers, videographers, there were tons of people wandering around. I mean, for the size show, and they're not surprised. It's a great show. I mean, I feel like I missed out not being able to shop at that one. I just had no time. There was a table with like treasury editions in a bin, and that usually means that they're not overpriced. I don't need them to be like the nicest ones. I just think that they're cool. Um, Give me a beat up one. As long as it's got all the pages, I'm good. Clean this up a little bit here. The Little Giant show. It was Don't ask where was that? Oh, the treasury boxes. They were like a couple aisles over, and then down to the left, and like at the end of a table. So what I can do here instead is do the classic starburst. Take it off the page this way, and this way. Do it like that, and then we'll do the planet over here. You can have maybe a moon in there, like a small planet. Off in the distance, maybe, yeah. A little moon. Yeah, treasury size comics are awesome. It's on my list of things I would like to publish at some point. Well, we're coming up on 9:30. We got pretty far. We got the whole full figure inked, and we're starting on the background. What more could we ask for on a Wednesday night live draw for one of these sketches? It's pretty far for me. Let me take a look at this. Flip it on the reverse. Can you guys see the reverse when I hold it up to the light like that? Yeah. That's so I can look and see if there's any mistakes that I need to fix that I maybe didn't see on the first pass. I mean, there's some stuff that I'd like to tighten up a bit. Yeah, it looks better. Little things. Little things can make a huge difference. Just blacking out the nostril there. But yeah, back here I'll have like little bits of planet breaking up. I'm starting to feel the day. I'm starting to get tired. So good thing we're nearing the end. Running out of gas. I will probably go plop down on the couch and read one of my comics from the convention the other day, a couple weeks ago. Stare at this thing until I see more stuff I gotta fix on it. Gotta draw the exploding planet breaking apart, you know. It's one of those great comics cliches. Just gotta take the time. And right now, this is more of like I'm drawing with pen rather than inking. You know, it's just part of the drawing process for me. It's one of the reasons why I've worked with so few inkers over the years is because I have a hard time walking away from a pencil drawing and thinking it's done. You know, and knowing I gave enough information for somebody else to take it where it needs to go. I don't mind if they take it someplace I didn't think of. I actually quite enjoy that, but just knowing that I gave them enough to deliver is tough for me. I'm gonna grab this white out so that we can show you what that'll look like real quick, so you can get an idea of where my brain was at with stuff. We'll white that a little bit out, and then we'll get rid of all of this. Get rid of this. My buddy Craig was on the interwebs. I did see his post about bleed proof white not working as well as it used to. Presto pens are my tried and true. The Pentel, they always work. Blocking out, printed on materials, ink, whatever. I think these things are great. You can order them online. So, well, I think we're going to call it a night. But that's how far we got today. We started with this little doodle right here. You can see with the hand reaching forward, and then this is where we got to. So I'll finish this up over the next few days and post it online. And thanks everybody for hanging out. Don, don't see all that often. Great to see you. Everybody for coming in, and all the new people. Lots of new people tonight. So every Wednesday. Next week we'll probably be working on Undersea Hero. So have a lovely weekend. I will see you guys.